What up, people? Welcome to another episode of Just Listen. I'm your host, Dre, and I'm joined today by my boy, Tim.
Yeah.
Tim Leo, Stimothy Leo. My man, I know we don't do video for this, but my man got his own little spot now just for recording and gaming, man. Living the gamer's dream right now. So big shout out to that shit, man. Definitely.
They took my kidney, but I got a game room out of it. So what you gonna do?
That's what's up. So before we start this episode, I want to remind those who listen to Just Listen, or those that are coming in and listening to this for the first time, that this show is like my outlet show. Like for those who listen to Gamerish Network podcast and the other podcasts, sometimes Dre goes on a rant, and this podcast is just for me to be able to go on a rant with no interruptions. Even though I bring somebody on here, it's for me to express my real feelings. And I'm sorry if I might hurt somebody's feelings, but I think if it's stinging you in some type of way, it just might be true what I'm saying, like, because sometimes the truth hurts, so Tim might have to deal with some shit from me today, maybe, but I hope you guys could stick around and bear with it if you're not liking what you hear, or you can fast forward a little bit and wait till my voice sounds calm again, but
Give them the flames. Give them the fire and flames, man.
that's what we here to do, man. But before we get into the topics that I wanted to talk about today, I wanted to hit you with this because we just finished. We're in the new year and shit, and I'm like, I didn't even get your choices. What were your top 5 games of 2021? I'm giving you a quick fire to see what you could give me off the top of the head. I'm not even gonna give you any specific order. Just what was your top 5 games, even remasters, you could throw that in there because I know we had a bunch of remasters last year. But what do you think were the top 5 games you played of last year?
Okay, so I'm glad that you switched that to that I played because of games that came out, I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah.
But of games that I got exposed to and finally played, ooh, child. So I gotta say, number one that really surprised me was Jedi Fallen Order,
Oh yeah.
and it's not because it's a Star Wars game. It's because like that control. Those are out. Even though you don't want to say it, those are mini Souls games. Cause
Yeah.
because you got. It's like if you get to this point, you die. You got to start back over at this point,
Yep.
and
And
you
one
just
thing,
have to.
not to cut you off, but see, I still didn't finish the game that I have to because they just announced that they're working on part 2 earlier this week.
Yeah.
So I gotta finish the game. But even though people said like they're like miniature Souls game, like I like that I had a difficulty level on the fucking game. I was
Yeah.
able to
Okay. Yeah. True. True.
adjust.
You're
That's
right.
why I'm able
You're
to
right.
play through it. I'm just like lightsabers, the bosses, if they get too hard for me, I just drop it down the difficulty level, whatever, and I'll get
And fair
past it.
enough. I mean,
Yeah.
and I gotta agree. It's nice that it does that. I'm not trying to at all compare it or say that it's a Souls game, but the mechanic does offer, I say, a lot more. A lot more difficulty, but still, Fallen Order. I was really happy with the way that they did that game, and though it wasn't too long, it like going back with newly acquired skills.
Mhm.
It was just it was really done well. That control, of course, the Grand Theft Auto
Yeah, I know you put a
remasters.
lot of time into San
There
Andreas.
was like being able to go back to those and play them. I say, like I'm happy. That really made my year, to tell you the truth.
Mhm.
Um, I think Tony Hawk was 2020, so I can't say that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Was it? Yeah, time flew then. Yeah, it probably was
Time,
2020.
yeah, man,
Yeah,
this
time
COVID
flew.
crap. I don't want to say it like that, but it's really like kind of put us in a slipstream, as it were, of
Mhm.
time.
Yep.
But I just want to say Jedi Fallen Order. Like, I'm mad that I waited so long to play it, but
Yeah.
right now was the perfect time to expose it to me, because like that game was really done well.
And then what about you? Got 2 more slots to fill.
Hmm.
Cause I know you was on that San Andreas most of the time. I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 3 on through PlayStation Now, San Andreas through Game
The
Pass at the moment.
grind. That game
Yeah,
is like the grind of all three of them.
yeah,
Like they were just like suicide mission every time. We don't
yeah.
give a damn. Um, I don't know because I'm trying. Like I still want to play It Takes Two. I played the demo and I love the demo.
Did you play with the wife? 'Cause I know you got to play with somebody.
No, see that's the thing. It was just random. I meant to hit up Mike, but it was just like this because it was the demo. I didn't want to get too far. I'm like because I really I'm working on this backlog. I can't buy any more games
Yeah,
until
I wish I could think like you.
bro. No, that because that's what made me go back to Jedi Fallen Order because like I bought it when it was like $10
You know
on
what's crazy?
PlayStation.
If you set up your Stadia Pro, you might still get it for free right now on Stadia Pro.
Okay, I mean, I'm just saying, which is one of the reasons why I definitely got to do that. But it was just like having it, and I was like, man, why haven't I beat this or Control? Because these are good games, and
Mm.
and and I got to say, like Control, that's why that's number two on my list. Control to this day, this moment, this very second, Control is the first game I've played that makes me feel like I'm playing a PlayStation 5 game.
Oh
Like the way
yeah,
she rips up stuff, the way it's just the way her interactivity with the game world and how the game world reacts to damage and stuff like that. It's surreal.
yeah. I got stuck in Control. Like, okay, so it's funny you bring up Control and what is it, Fallen Order? Fallen Order, that's the Star Wars
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at the same time, because those two games, my only frustration between the two of them was the maps. I didn't like more Fallen Order than Control because the map on there is like you have to be zooming in, you got to be turning it around. You're up here or you're down here. I don't
Definitely.
like
You're
the
right.
confusion of the fucking map, even though I eventually found where to go here and there, but the map is confusing as hell. Like I'm just like, oh god, now let me just look for some place that I didn't go yet. And then maybe
True, and then
I'll
you do
follow.
you do a lot of crossing back over places. It's just
Yeah,
like this is a
yeah.
shortcut would be nice.
It's a
Whatever.
little bit tedious with that, but like the story and the gameplay kind of distracts you from that because you're still having fun doing that. Control, I just want to finish that story. I am very intrigued to finish the story of Control, but it's like where I'm at right now, they gave me some objective and I can't find this shit on the map nowhere. I'm going every floor. I'm getting tired of fighting the same enemies over and over again. And I just said, fuck it. Even though my dumbass shit just went on YouTube and just found somebody that was doing the objective and copied that like I do with Judgment, but because sometimes in Judgment they have this whole thing where they're like, oh, find a way to find this person and they don't tell you how, and I'm just like, YouTube, let me find out what somebody did on this part to find this
I just
character.
got I just got to say, how you just brought that up like it was something you're like, oh man, go to YouTube, bro. We grew up in the time of tips and tricks. Like
Mhm.
I've always consulted a game guide or the game manual to be like, what do you do now? Because there's
Mhm.
for some reason in our like right now in gaming, we feel like we can just jump into any world and know the mechanics and know what you're supposed to do, even though you may know cues. I don't mind going to YouTube because we don't have tips and tricks. We
Yeah.
don't have Nintendo Power,
Yeah.
the back 3 pages of Nintendo Power that shows you how to do crap. You know what
Or
I'm
even the
saying? Or
phone line to call and
exactly.
actually.
You know what I'm saying? We don't you have YouTube. They've consolidated all of that into YouTube. So when people go, oh, yeah, I went to YouTube to figure that out. I'm like, man, that's awesome because you used to have to like read 2 pages,
Yeah,
and then
gamefacts.com. Gamefacts.com used to go on
yeah.
there reading through chapter after chapter to see how to finish this Final Fantasy fight. Or hey, I had to buy the guides for Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask
Mhm.
when I was younger in order to get through that.
There's just certain things that the game doesn't tell you to do that when you watch the YouTube, you're like, damn, you could use that power here. What the
Yeah,
hell was that? How did I even make it this far? My son
exactly.
did that. My son, like on Fallen Order, where he is in the game. I'm like, dude, how did you make it this far without the double jump? How did you? And he's just like, I don't know, I just did this and that. I'm like, bro, I made it to this planet and turned right the fuck back around
Had to leave because he wasn't powerful enough.
because I wasn't powerful enough. This
Yep.
guy, he's wearing their skin and making monkey butlers and stuff. Like, what
Oh
the hell?
man,
So yeah,
that's
man, you
what's
got
up,
to go
man.
YouTube.
At
You better
least he's getting
YouTube
into
that.
adventure games. My son is like he's just straight shooters, or the only RPG he's ever played and beat was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot because his anime and he loves playing anime
Yeah,
fighting
don't try
games.
to take any steam from that game. That's a
Yeah.
good Xenoverse
No,
is a
I
little
love it.
better than for me, but hey, that ain't bad.
Yeah, because well, Kakarot's the big RPG. Even I gotta finish that, but my son's had it in his PlayStation for so long, I forgot I even had the damn game.
Mm.
Like I'm trying to finish up like 13 Sentinels, that JRPG game that everyone
Wow.
raves about. Like it's like an underground hit, but if you bring it up to somebody that plays RPGs, they'll definitely say that they've enjoyed 13 Sentinels. And but yeah, but that's a conversation for a drink in a game,
All
so
right, because I was about to say, man, I'm something's pushing me to try to like get into Persona.
mhm.
I don't know.
No, it's
I want to try it.
it's good. It's a grind though, because it's like probably like 80, 90. Sometimes it could be 100 hours if you're doing like all the side quests and
Yeah,
all the mini
that.
games.
But I feel like I just want to taste this forbidden
Yeah,
fruit.
because I had the regular version and I had Persona 5 Gold, and I started playing again just because they have the new character in it. And I have Strikers, and I haven't touched Strikers because they said it's a continuation of Persona 5. So I have the game, and I'm like, I can't even play it because I don't want to ruin anything from Persona 5, but yet I have no time to go back to Persona 5 because I know how many hours I got to put into that damn game in order to finish it. So it's a oh god, man. Man, if it wasn't for Game Pass, maybe I could slow down and go back to Persona 5. But like Game Pass just be as soon as I turn on my PC, here's a Game Pass game you haven't played yet. As soon as I turn on my Xbox, there's something else added to Game Pass.
I
And
just want them to take their foot off your neck. This is why I said, like, I just this year I'm like, you could have five. I played three games and got through it and was like, all right, money's worth.
yeah, yeah, I'll try. I don't know. My addiction kicks in very ever so often.
Which
I
isn't
just
bad, but that's what I'm saying. Then the backlog happens because, case in point, I waited so long. Where it's a good thing because I waited so long. I got control free and the ultimate edition. So that right there
yeah.
is, I gotta say, a plus and a half. And then the fact, but now that I'm playing it, I feel like I've not been accurately judging other games because, like, you got this powerhouse just lingering in the back of the party. And you're up here playing with you're up here kicking it all with all the noobs and stuff.
Yep.
Just the control just came out and did some boogaloo move, and now I'm struck. I'm taking it back.
Yeah, it's good. I waited for that to be on PlayStation Plus as well. I was glad when we got that free version and shit. I because if for some reason when it kept getting Game of the Year, it's funny. Like sometimes even I can miss out on Game of the Year worthy games, and I'm just like, cause when I looked at it, to me, I'm just like, I don't know if I want to play something like this. And then when it came free, that's when I was like, oh, this is pretty good. Damn, this map sucks, but this is pretty good, But we'll get into. We'll probably get into that on a drink of the game episode. Before we go too further into it. But while we're on the games, before I talk about the big topic, the next topic I want to talk about was length in video games. So we had an article that came about what's the name? Was it Techno? Who created Develop 2 came out a few weeks ago. And yes, I know it's an old story, guys, but this is stuff I got to get off chest. And so they came out with the story about their game will take like 100 hours to finish, or some, or 500 hours if you do everything. Was it something like that? I believe it's
It
like
was
five.
Dying Light 2. Yeah, Dying
Yeah,
Light 2.
yeah, Dying Light 2, but I'm trying to remember the amount of hours they said. I'm trying
Five.
to look up. Yeah, like
500.
500, right? Yeah, they said 500 hours to completely complete that game. And a lot of people went on the thing like, whoa, there's some people that like that. And then some people like, what do you mean? Like, how are we going to have 500 hours to finish a game? And so it got me thinking because I remember a few years ago when games were 18, 20 hours and people were bitching and complaining. And you're like, oh my God, for $60, I'm only getting 18 to 20 hours worth of content. Boy, do I wish I could get 18 to 20 hours of just a game nowadays with all the games that we have coming out at the same
True.
time. Now
True.
we're in the age where people are bitching and moaning about how much hours we have to play in a damn game now. When before you guys used to complain about this, now ever since like I remember when Assassin's Creed 1 came out, perfect game, everyone loved it. Creed 2 came
I
out.
don't know about that. Now, I
The
gotta
main,
stop you there.
hold on, wait.
Assassin's Creed 1 came out and people hated that game because it was repetitive.
Oh, so
Ezio saved Assassin's
yeah, he
Creed.
did, but but he came at Assassin's Creed 3, right? Because Assassin's Creed 2, you were still playing with Altair, I believe, right? Or we
No, no,
started
no. You were playing with Ezio the second one.
Ezio second.
It
Okay,
was
but to
then it
me,
was Brotherhood.
oh yeah, right, right. And so I thought there was way too much to do in Assassin's Creed 2, and that almost deterred me from beating the game. But then I told myself, you don't have to do all these side quests, motherfucker. Like you could go ahead and just play through the main story, and that's what made me like. Cause it comes to a point in time with a lot of games that have a bunch of side quests, except for Skyrim. I just could never stop doing side quests in Skyrim. But
You know why? You know
why?
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 Because that Stormboard it added to his legend. But keep I just wanted to interject with that, but I'm listening.
Yeah, but so it's like there was too much for me to do there, and it kind of turned me off. Brotherhood to me, I felt was like the perfect thing. One, because yes, they had a lot of stuff on there, but they didn't put as many icons on the map like how we see on Valhalla now, where I'm just like, I get back into Valhalla like every 3 months because I'm just like, yo, there's so much to do here. Yo, this world is so damn big. And you have to be a certain level to do certain things. And so
Yeah.
it forces you to go out and do certain side quests. It forces you to go to like, oh, this is for level 12 to 15 here. So, okay, I guess I only could do quest over here. Because if I go over here, I'm going to get my ass whooped. Where I just wish sometimes like I could just played through the story. I don't mind a long lengthened game as long as you give me the option to just be like we were just talking about Cyberpunk before we got on here. I don't feel in Cyberpunk that anything uh, uh is against me if I go and do it too early. I feel like if I go and continue the story, as long as I have the right implants, as long as I know what I'm doing, as long as I know what gun I'm bringing up in there and shit, and then you could make it through any mission in there. I don't have to do the side quest. The side quest should just be a little appetizer for us that we could either eat and finish, or we could just take a bite out of and put it to the side. Should it be the part of our full course meal? You know, like or even
Yeah.
but it's just like
No, one thing about Cyberpunk that I love is you can leave a mission at any time unless
mhm,
it's timed. Jackie could be like, "Yeah, let's walk over here." You're like, "Yeah, f you, Jackie. I'm about to go over here and stop
yeah.
this robbery." And so it's like that's one thing that I did love about that.
Yep, that is a great point there. Like with Assassin's Creed, I just felt like it's tied down and shit like that. And like I said, I don't mind. I don't care how long a game is, as long as well. No, I'm not gonna say how long a game because I had this kind of thing. So since everyone knows I play a bunch of games, I'm probably playing like 10 games a week, trying to get through all these damn games because I work overnights now. Don't get home till about 3, 4 in the morning sometimes. Then even though I'm sleeping deprived of myself, I wake up at 8:30 in the morning so I could get some game time in. Like I barely sleep. Like I'm trying to get some game time in before I get back on the grind again. So I had this dilemma where I'm playing Guardians of the Galaxy. Great game. One of my top 10 games I said of 2021. when I want to finish a game right away and it keeps me going back to it every day, I know it's good. But Guardians of the Galaxy had me at that point where I'm just like, oh my God, this is not the last mission yet. Oh my God, I thought you guys said this game is like 15 hours. I feel like I've been playing it for 40, like, and it's a good game. It made me want to finish it, but I kind of wish it was only an 8 hour game. Like there's some games where you just want to get through it, especially when there's no Guardians of the Galaxy had no side quests. Like, well, they had little things you could go and collect, and I enjoyed going to collect them, like the different costumes and shit like that. But for a game that had no side quests, I felt like 8 to 15 hours was a little bit still too long to me. At least for someone that plays a lot,
Really?
I can understand people that like play only 1 or 2 games every few months, yes, that's good for you. But for someone like me who just like I'm playing a bunch of shits at once, especially if you have something like Game Pass that gives you a bunch of games, like sometimes you just get tired out of just doing this one thing over and over again, unless
Okay,
there's
so
something stringing you along, you know.
well, I mean, so my opinion on it is I don't, and me personally, I don't care how long the game is.
Yeah.
The game's length or proposed length does little to me because like it could be again we come from a different time in gaming where if you didn't have a memory card for your PlayStation, you played the
That
intro
whole
to
that
the
shit.
game. And the game that you got, you played the intro every freaking time. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Like, you know how many times I played the intro to Crash Bandicoot mode just to be like, dang, do I really want to go up there and leave this PlayStation on, or do I want to go through this again? And so, like, with that said, I'm just like, I really don't care about the length of the game. I care about the depth of the game.
Mhm.
Uh, I say
And that's
what you
where I
will.
agree with you. If the depth of the game is good, like, that's what I'm saying. It gives me a reason to keep going. But sometimes in my head, I'm thinking about the fucking 10 other games I need to get through at the same time. So I just
Well,
like,
yeah, but I mean, but see, that's the thing. All of those games have, their time. Like right now, if there's like a bunch of people in here with me, I'm not gonna throw on a one-player game because that's not cool. I play some Knockout. Was it
yeah,
Knockout City,
Knockout Cities.
or I
Yep.
might play Madden or something like that, and give that game its time. Then when it's just me, I might be like, oh, I want to do a little multiplayer. So then I have those games because like I know I at least have 500 hours in Battlefield 4. I
Mhm.
know that.
See, that's the
That
difference
game,
though between the
it's no
multiplayer game
different. But that's the thing. That
and
other than trophies and maybe some weapon kits, I'm playing the same
yeah,
levels
yeah,
over
you're
and
right.
over again, doing this killing, shooting a gun, shooting
Yeah,
a gun, a grenade launcher, blowing his ass to smithereens.
yeah. It's
If
a
I
good
can
point
do
you
that
brought.
for over 500,
It's,
give
you're
me a
right
story.
because
Like,
I was just raving about how much time I put into Yu-Gi-Oh, and if anybody saw my 2021 wrap up, you'll see that Yu-Gi-Oh was my number 2 played game last year, the older one. Now the new one came
the
out,
Shadow
and
Realm, bitch.
yeah, and I'm just like, this new Yu-Gi-Oh is out, and I'm just like, yes, I have these other games I have to finish right now, but I need to fucking go online and put some decks together right now.
But see, and that's the thing, and what that probably is what you use to de-stress.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Where this RPG would be something you play where you are in a puzzle mood or you are in a grind mood. So, but the issue, one of the things that would change with Brotherhood, like for me, also with Assassin's Creed 2, was the fact that not only was I doing all of this, is that the developer rewards you with making your changes happen to the world at large. So
yeah,
now, me making all this money constitutes to, me being able to build this barracks, or me
yeah.
being able to make this town better, or me being able to make my house better,
Yeah, and
or
that's
me
what I was
having
talking about.
these
That's
different
the
charms.
thing that gives
Those
you the reason to keep moving on.
Yeah,
I need
and
that.
when it rewards you with in-world, I guess, tangibility, that is where the hours, they pay off.
Yeah.
Where the hours don't pay off is like the
Marvel
first
Avengers.
what is what no no well no what was that what Borderlands.
Yeah.
Borderlands, what made that game, the first game, really work was Claptrap and the cell shading. What made it suck is they'll go, okay, so for this gun that you need for this next mission that you can't do without this gun that you need, go collect 900 skulls. And you're just like, oh, come on. Then you bring back the 900 fucking skulls. You bring them back, and then you get like you use that gun for the mission, and then right after the mission, you get a better gun
Yep.
that makes this gun that you needed shitty.
Yeah, that's
You
the
don't even
only
want
bad
you don't
thing.
even
But I'm
look
trying
at
to
it
go
again.
Borderlands, but that's one thing I hate is like you get a weapon that seems great, and it's not even like I can understand if you go 30 minutes before you get a new weapon, but it's literally like every 5 minutes you find another gun that's stronger than the one that you're using.
You're
You
like,
know,
man, I did all of this for this, and it's just the payoff. If the payoff works to where in this game, because I want to say I was willing to, especially Black Flag, I was willing to spend hours playing that game. If they say, yeah, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is only a
oh
15-hour game,
yeah,
I
I
stretched
love
that
that.
bitch out.
Yeah, because
I
Assassin's Creed
turned
Black
that
Flag,
game into a
the
taffy rope,
best
bro.
Assassin's Creed to me. Like I love that game.
Where you can build when you can build
Yeah,
or look at the WoW players.
yeah,
Look at WoW players. There are actually players of WoW that have died because they did not leave. So that's what I'm saying. Like the length of the game does nothing. But if in this game, and don't get me wrong, Dying Light 2 does bring together a lot of, because I mean Dying Light 1 really took what was that, a Dead Island Riptide, and made the game that you really wanted.
yeah. That's what we thought.
Was
Dead Island. I remember, and I'm just gonna go out and top it. I would tell people all the time, for those who weren't around to watch it, the Dying Light One trailer was mind blowing when that thing
mind
first
blowing,
came out.
and
Without
then the
any gameplay.
gameplay.
Without any gameplay, that shit was mind blowing. I still remember that. That's the song from that trailer is on my phone. Like I play that shit at least once a week, like just remembering that whole thing with the kid and everything's going backwards.
Yeah,
That one of the best
but
trailers.
also, but also, I gotta say, Dying Light is one of those games that has built a world where, like, because you can easily say, like, survival games at large. We're just gonna say Green Hell. Was it Daisy? All of those games. Those are gonna be our sinks. You are going to at least be like 150 hours in to where your character is finally like, okay, so maybe I won't
But do
die
you think it kind
now.
of helps us in a way? Like, let's say those multiplayer and open-ended games. Like, say you get on the battlefield. I played 7 Days to Die, hours on end. But you know why I think we go back to it is because we know there's no end, but we know that we're building onto something. But when
We're
I
building
play
on to
a
something.
story-based game, now I'm like, I know there's supposed to be an end to this. Where is the ending? I've been playing for so long. Like, why am I not reaching the end? And I think Dying Light has this thing though, because they said, of course, each regular story is gonna be like 40 hours. So you go depending on which faction you go on to. So of
Yeah,
course you could play with this faction for 40 hours, then there's the other faction for 40 hours. Then of course the side quests, if you decide to do them, adds on to that. And I guess there's probably gonna be things you could find. And I'm sure with the way they took care of the first Dying Light, like up to just earlier this year had DLC or late last year.
yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
pretty sure
Still was
this
getting
game is gonna
DLC,
have
but
a
also you
bunch
got to think about that game at large.
of
When it's it's a certain type of game when it's the morning time, but
mhm.
then like when it's
Night.
nighttime,
scary as
you
fuck.
it's not only has it turned into a surreal horror and cerebral thriller game. Now you're like also kind of like on the loot run, because now some of the places with the best loot, it's like it's taking some of the best mechanics of multiplayer games and games that make you want to build, and they're giving it all to you, and I think that is awesome. But when people go, oh man, 500 hours, I like to me those are the casuals. Not trying to say it like that, but not or in a derogatory way. But those are the
Yeah.
casuals who are just like, who to me had to just only get into gaming because of FPSs, or only like sandbox games. Because if you've played anything from a Game Boy game till now, you've had to. There's no game that you picked up and was just like freaking Ace Combat or
Yeah.
the Maverick in 10 hours. There's no way.
Yeah, and I
Like
guess it all
even
depends on the type of see. So I think because
even
Dying
if you
Light
have it on
one,
easy, even if you play a
yeah,
game on easy, like to get all of the mechanics of the game down, you're gonna have to put in at least 20 hours.
yeah. But I
At
think
least.
like Dying Light 1, maybe some people are comparing the length of that. They're like, oh, we didn't have to play that long. But Dying Light 1 had a lot of content, which of course brought it over 100
Yeah.
hours and shit like that. I didn't even get to the DLC. I just bought the platinum edition or whatever it's called so I could play the DLC before part two comes. But part two comes out next week, and I just bought the collector's edition like 3 weeks ago. And so I haven't even touched it because I started the whole game over again just so I could get the mechanics down again. I need to get all this mechanics down, and then I'll go into the DLC and see what's happening again. But
I want to say guilty pleasure of mine, not even buying the game, but I will be on Twitch finding somebody who is playing it, and I will watch it. I
yeah,
will
I'll stream it.
dedicatedly watch them play that game, especially which I gotta say, one is another thing I like about those long games and where we are in gaming as a whole is like I like watching people who are average, and then I like watching people who go in and can like do everything in 10 seconds. And I'm glad that I have,
Speed
I
runners.
have that type of content at my fingertip. But it's just a 500, like, especially with the Dying Light, how like you can change the city. And if they do a real, especially if it's anything that's close to Fallout New Vegas, if they do a real morality meter, or your decisions really affect the world at large, bro, that's something that is worth 500 hours
Well, I think
versus.
initially with the way that he presented it, the game's director, it made it seem like it was going to take you 500 hours to beat the main story. And I think some people that don't really game, like you said, the casual gamer would actually think that a story mode would take five. There's no story mode out there that would take you 500 hours to do, unless you're playing World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy Online.
See, I think you could do not well. See that, but that's is when you say 500 hours, and I don't want to keep drowning on this, but we'll just say 100 hours. When you say 100 hours of gameplay, like is this from the first mission you get to the last mission you get
Yeah, that's what I was
difficulty
saying.
wise,
That's what he was saying. He
or
was
is it?
like, when you collect everything and do all the side quests and play both sides of the story, that equals up to 500 hours. But the story
That's
by
fair.
itself is just 40 hours, he says. Like 40 hours for the story itself.
Oh well, then yeah, okay, because that's what I'm saying. You don't like even. I want to say Ghost of Tsushima.
Mm,
That is probably like a 20 hour, 20, I say
mm.
15, 20 hour game. I could stay immersed in that.
Yeah, that
I
could have been
love it's
50, 100
beautiful.
hours. Yeah, that was a
Like I
fucking
had like even though you did it had no there was no achievement to get all the Shoshano bands and all that. I wanted to do it. It was beautiful to get to this and then look over this cliff, and
yeah,
I'm like I was so there are games that like where you do get that I guess what we can call it, you do get that conclusion,
yeah.
but there are games where the work is just staying alive. That's it. That's
Hmm.
what the game is.
Hmm.
Battlefield, COD. There's not there. There are people who put 500 in those games. Halo easily.
Yeah.
Halo easily.
Halo is like
Easily.
a daily thing for me. I have to play at least an hour of Halo a
500.
day before I go to
Somebody
work.
be like, man, I've played that game for 500 hours, and then like you'd still get called a casual. They'd be like, oh,
Yeah,
so you're talking about Halo 2?
yeah,
You play for 500. Are you talking about Halo 1, Halo 2? Oh,
yeah,
ODST, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? It's not, it's like that really 500 hours of gameplay. I laugh at that. That doesn't, now if it's 500 hours of gameplay and it's like, yeah, so for you to get through this door, you have to go collect 5 rubies. And then I go get the 5 rubies and then I get through the door. And I didn't even need to go through the door.
yeah,
Or it does not do anything that like me getting these
yeah.
rubies,
It
me
has to
doing
mean
this,
something if we're gonna
it
put that
didn't
much
mean anything.
time.
It was just a
Yeah,
time draw. You just
yeah,
wanted me to run around. You
hmm,
to look at these graphics. That's all you did.
yep.
That
That,
is where I want to
yeah.
go to the outside of the developer's office and burn my dirty underwear. That's I reserve that for those guys.
Oh man, yeah, but like I could say, like Skyrim, there is. I'm pretty sure if we look up the percentage of people that started Skyrim and still haven't finished that game and probably put in over 500 hours of that game, it's gonna be way more people that did that than finished Skyrim. You know, like
Bro, you know how many people are still riding around Los Santos and Grand Theft Auto 5? That game's been out over
Word,
10 years. You
yeah,
like, Destiny. Like I said, there's like 500 hours isn't a lot when it's a game I want to play.
exactly, exactly. That's all it comes down to. If it's a game you want to play, timing doesn't matter. If it's a
Because
game you've
we
been
really
trying
not,
to
because we're not sure if he's talking about just the game
No,
at large or
he
the
said that's gonna. At
DLC.
first, he didn't make it clear. That's why he came back out with a new statement and said that's if you do completely everything in the game. So the
That's
story,
fair.
let's go. Yeah. So the regular story would just take 40 hours without side quests. So
I mean, you're literally in a hazardous environment with
mhm,
zombies strewn about everywhere. I
yeah,
don't think you would be able to tell that. Like, there's only one story that told that type of story in a short amount of time, and that was Dead Nation. And even then, Dead Nation left me so I still am scarred from that game. It gave you nothing at the end. It gave you
yeah,
nothing,
nothing.
and
Yeah,
that's what these zombies games. At the end, the only thing you get is being able to live
yeah. State of
without getting your
Decay.
arm clawed off.
Like
That's
I
it.
love State of Decay, but it's like after a while, I'm like, what am I still doing all of this for?
What?
So, but I still love the game, but it's something else. But my final topic to transition today. So, I've spoken about this once or twice already in an older podcast, which is the acquisition of Mike Blizzard and Activision. I said I wanted to get your opinion on this before I go into what my full opinion. I've given some opinion, but I've been nice. And so, like, I feel like just listen is where I don't have to be nice, and so I want to get your
You were
thoughts,
being nice, man.
you know,
Listen to
like,
this guy.
I just feel like I want to get your opinion. See what was your initial thought when maybe you went on the Gamerish page and Dre posted 8 o'clock in the morning that Activision and Blizzard might be being acquired by Microsoft. Like when you saw that was about to happen, what was the first thing that came to your mind?
God damn, 15 billion?
Way more than that.
16 billion? Did they just dig in
68.7.
the did they dig in the couch and was like, a pizza coming? So that was where I was saying, like, it's one of those things. It really, it's one. Where we're at is we're getting to that point where all this is going to have to happen for you to get a Ready Player One, for you to get a cross platform. Um, anybody can play anything, and in this video game wars is done is for stuff like this to happen. The whatchamacallit, CEO of, or I believe Xbox, he said that
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
basically
he's
said
not.
this.
Yeah, he said he's competing against Stadia and Amazon and Google now. Yeah, Google and
Yeah,
Amazon.
exactly. It's like if you can narrow, if you now don't get me wrong, what I dislike about American capitalism is the competition is sin. What I loved about Xbox and when Xbox came out versus Sony was you were able to get R-rated adult games, but they were different. When you got Fable, you could tell while Fable was an Xbox game and how we'll say whatever you played on PlayStation was a PlayStation game. And then when the Xbox 360 came out and the PlayStation took that little time to develop, and then they came out with the PlayStation 3, that even because I became a avid 360 fan during
Yeah,
that
we
time.
all were. We had online. Nobody did it better than
Nobody
Xbox
did it
did.
better than like there. Nobody did it better than the 360.
That's the thing. The
Red
kids
Ring of Death,
nowadays they don't
be
realize
damned.
that.
Like
Like,
and it was.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I was saying the kids of today don't realize that Generation Z doesn't know that if it wasn't for Microsoft, Sony would have never stepped their online game
Never,
up.
because Sony on the PlayStation 2 did have a network adapter.
You have to get
It's
that
just
big ass block and put it at
yeah,
the damn
you
back.
did have that, but it's just who's using this, who's
Yep,
online.
nobody.
Sony PlayStation is a single player experience, maybe dual, maybe you could do a couch co-op, but it's a single player
Yep.
experience. Where Nintendo was all about inclusion, everybody plays. We could do 4 players, and I love that they took those 2 lanes. But when Xbox 360 when Xbox came out, and you could play your own music during
Yeah,
your games, I was like, what I'm saying? Like this was where you start to see the competition make these games or this culture that we live in now. It started to really formulate that and give that competition of the reason why I like this is because of this, but clearly the reason why I like this is because of that. Now we've gotten to a point where all these IPOs, do exist, and a lot of these game sorry developers have gone out of business or have sold their portfolios and things like that. Like really I'm happy for Microsoft doing this, because if this is how I can play Battletoads on Halo, like I don't know. I mean, it sucks. It sucks in the long run because I do like the competition, but at the same time, it doesn't suck because there really is, at this point in time, there is no reason why I have an Xbox or a PlayStation. There's really, if people could say frame rate, people could say this, but at this time in gaming, there is Nintendo has a reason to do
yeah.
Nintendo
That's
still.
why they could do whatever the fuck
They
they
can do
want.
whatever they want because they have their lane etched in stone. But right now, there is no good reason other than you saying you like one controller or over the other for you to be a fanboy. And Stadia exposed that.
Yep. And the Sony
My fault. I didn't
ponies.
mean to
No, no,
rant
no.
there for it,
No, that's
but
what this is
that's how I
for.
feel about it.
Like, so, because I know you. See, I like to get your perspective because you don't even own an Xbox, right? You don't own an Xbox, right? You
No,
you mostly
no,
play PlayStation, but you can
yeah,
see this thing as a realist and not as a pony. And I'm sorry I got to call you guys ponies, but you Sony ponies that think that everything does. If it's not PlayStation, it's not good. Because if PlayStation would have went out and bought Blizzard Activision, the word would be like, oh shit, look at this. Xbox is dead. Xbox is dead. Yeah, I don't got Call of Duty no more and blah, blah, blah. And now when Microsoft goes and makes a big move like that, it's Microsoft is a monopoly. They're gonna destroy the system. How dare they spend that much money and acquire a game? But then you got the people on the thing. Let me tell you guys something. On the NPD list, PlayStation 5's top 2 games sold last year is not no damn PS5 exclusive. It's fucking whatever the last Call of Duty was, Black
Vanguard.
Ops and Vanguard, and then there's freaking Warzone. Those are PlayStation's top three selling games of 2021. Not even a PlayStation exclusive, which you guys keep
No.
raving about, and they saying that now. Oh, Call of Duty was whack anyways. Play more money than any other game out there, you know. So I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. That's just you speaking out your damn ass, you know.
Wait. Really quick. I would like to say, to me, especially from PlayStation 2, we'll say PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3, where Sony really is getting away from and it's really hurting them is the Asian market slash the Asian port games. Those games
Yeah,
always gave you variety. Those games always gave you
JRPGs.
fun. Those games are usually the games that got remembered and made you want to play a
Yeah.
PlayStation
When
title.
I got my PlayStation, it was always dad. Like this RPG is only going to be on PlayStation when it comes out. Like I gotta play Legend of Dragoon. I gotta play my
Paw Rapper the Rapper.
yeah for rap.
Like you look at it, you may laugh, but I'm like, those type of games, like Paw Rapper the Rapper spawned the rock bands, the Guitar Heroes. And it's just like, but it was a port game. It's not it was not an American influence game. A lot of Sony's best games, in my opinion, are port games, are games that come from the Asian market, and they come over here, and it's just not a Xbox type of offer. You know, like to me, Xbox has what Xbox does, but Xbox does not give you Metal
Yeah,
Gear Solid.
yeah. You could well, what's on there? I can't remember. I think I might have saw it, but yeah,
I mean, now
Konami.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying, and that was what I was saying.
yeah,
Now
back
there's no
then. Yeah,
reason.
yeah,
But
back
I was just
then.
saying, but before, Xbox isn't giving you a Metal Gear Solid, and
Yeah,
then on top of that, Xbox isn't giving it. I mean, really, to tell you the truth, because if I remember correctly, what really screwed Xbox out was the fact that they didn't have. No, what screwed? Which one of them had the exclusivity of Grand Theft Auto?
PlayStation had the Grand Theft Auto exclusivity, and if you watch the Microsoft documentary, it was funny because they had a chance to have Grand Theft
Yes,
Auto exclusive to
yes.
them, and they thought it was a bad game. They thought it was too choppy of a game. Ended up being Grand Theft Auto 3 coming
And
out.
that is what I feel like that because when you think about it, even San Andreas on the Xbox, you can play your own cassette deck. It's just
Yeah,
Xbox always had a little. Xbox had like the edge of Dreamcast, but just did not have the the one player experience of, like I said, the import games and the established, you know what I'm saying, Sony presence. But right now in gaming, there is no reason why, because you're gonna see a Resident Evil on Xbox. You're gonna see a you have Final Fantasy on Xbox. There's, you know what I'm saying? So there's really, for us to say, it'd be the difference of us saying, oh, yes, I only eat potatoes and he only eats potatoes. You know, like
yeah.
I'm not
That's
going
a
to be
funny
that
thing.
guy
But Tim,
because like
real quick.
Xbox is, sorry.
Sorry, guys. I'm sorry for everyone listening right now. I just have to step away for like 10 seconds. So you might want to fast forward 10 seconds for this moment because for what we're using, I can't even pause the damn stream. But give you 10 seconds.
And so in this 10 seconds, I'm going to take this time to say that Dre really is a good guy, man. I mean, I couldn't spend this much on video games. But then again, I don't feel like I would also have, Gamerish Network. And so I am very privileged to be on here. Hopefully, I can start to give you guys some content. If you like this and more, please let us know in the comments. I remember the first game I played on PlayStation was this game called One. And now, like when I and it's ridiculous because when I go back and look at the graphics, I'm like, how the hell was I blown away by this? I thought this was revolutionary, and now looking back like, man, I must have been on acid or something. I mean, I know I was a little kid, but your little kid eyes, like, I just don't know what the hell I was thinking. Like, what was that game about?
What are you telling the people about?
The first game I played on PlayStation was one, the game one where you're this guy with a machine gun arm or something. But I'm like, I remember playing it, and I like the graphics blew me away. I was like, oh my god, it's so realistic. And then I watched the trailer like a couple of months back, and I was just like, man,
I
I
think
was
I've
on
seen.
drugs. What the hell was I doing? Like, I can't
Um,
believe I thought this was impressive.
yeah, I'm looking at some fucking pictures of it right now. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
one. You
Yeah.
like you if I like I would have run like brought you into my house like, oh my god, look at this. Now I'm looking like, man, this is
Hey,
probably
that's how
why
we
people
were
like
back
kids
then,
didn't
man.
like me because,
There's a lot of
huh?
things we loved back then that we don't understand why anymore.
Bro, the graphics in that game is nothing, looks nothing like real life. Don't
Uh,
try to sugarcoat it. I was fucking tripping.
that is all good.
Led
But
astray.
let's get
Bamboozled,
let's
maybe.
get back to the topic at here. Sorry, people just had to take care of something real quick. So, but I'm back, and so like what I was saying here, I believe I was all right. So we talk about you not caring because you don't even have an Xbox, and like this is only going to help the system out to Game Pass. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for subscribers. They're not even worried about sales of their Xbox. Of course they want that, but the sales they just care more about. And now up to today, 20 million people are signed up on Game Pass. That's a lot of people. Then I can only imagine how those numbers are going to rise when we start getting those exclusive things like Spyro and Crash. And they already said that Call of Duty is going to be on PlayStation for the next 3 years, so you guys can stop getting your panties in a bunch about that. But even though Call of Duty's whack now since it's Microsoft owned, let's see how many of you don't buy it next year because that's a fucking lie. You're all gonna fucking buy the damn game anyway. So
Uh,
I don't even want to hear no shit about that. But and Game Pass, man, where this is going, like we might even see we're gonna see Game Pass on TV soon with all the apps on there. Like I could even play Stadia off my Sony TV right now. Like there's a Stadia app. I could play my Stadia. I don't even need the freaking Chromecast anymore because I have the app on my TV now. And if Nintendo is smart, they'll let Xbox put Stadia on their damn console. It ain't hurting them.
hell no.
And
Hell no.
I know
Hell
they
no, they
won't
won't.
do it, but
How
they
how was that, how would that be smart for them?
no because look, I'm pretty sure Xbox is going to give them some cut of whatever they're getting on.
No, I keep it proprietary. You gotta buy our stuff still. And see, that's the thing because you don't want them to mega corp it. Even though they're gonna mega corp it, they're gonna was it Procter and Gamble video games? It's like right now there really is nothing we can do. Like EA, we know EA's a dirty corporation, but there's nothing you can do because who else is gonna make 2K?
Well, you know
And
what's funny is that we have companies like this is where I go where these people just hating on the name Microsoft. That name just scares you because Tencent has been buying a whole bunch of studios year after
yeah,
year,
yeah,
and they're
Tencent
a
has and
Chinese
2K.
company. Yeah, and they've been buying companies year after year. And I looked up Tencent stocks, and Tencent owns is part of 600 different companies they have stocks bought into.
Yeah,
600 different game companies and other developers and stuff, and they're like, and no one bats an eye. Why? Because their name isn't Microsoft. And if, like I said, if Sony did this, no one would bat a fucking eye.
no,
Like
people would.
some
People
would,
would.
but no one's gonna be as angry because we have people. that grew up with PlayStations in their homes now and nothing else. You know, like I feel like if you had like you're on the other page where you could appreciate what's being done and not worry about it. And plus you could even go buy an Xbox now or just put it as Game Pass on your phone if you want to or tablet
And
or
that is the
computer.
difference.
Yeah.
I
And
say that right there, what you just said is the difference between Sony and Xbox at this point in time.
yeah.
Is the fact that if I wanted to play if I had Xbox Game Pass, I could play it on my phone anywhere with a wireless connection. Where with Sony, you cannot, or I just haven't seen it yet. I don't see that there's
Yeah.
any so that I can
Only
get,
place I can play
and then
PlayStation now is on my console, and you can play on your PC. But when I'm playing on my PC, it's so complicated to connect the
yeah,
damn PlayStation controller. I have to play at God of War with an Xbox controller.
and
You know?
Xbox, you know what I'm saying? It's seamless. And then, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? Really, especially with it coming down to the metaverse and everything, that is why a lot of this stuff is getting swooped up. They're gonna mega corp it because if you don't own these things, it's gonna have to be under your umbrella to be able to offer it.
So another next question now: if Microsoft decides to make certain things exclusive, what would be the exclusive games that would convince you from Blizzard and Activision to fucking get a Game Pass subscription?
To tell you the truth, right now, I'm looking for AAA titles to go back to being smaller. Like I want it to be a AAA title that is, I mean, kind of like Ghost of Tsushima,
Oh, so you
and
want
that
new IPs?
okay. So yes, new IPs, but still smaller. I'm trying to think, like because where you get new
Like something
IPs,
like Hades, when it came out, it just blew everybody's mind, and it wasn't expected to be this that damn good.
no, okay. So Fable, they're coming out with a new Fable 2. I want that to
The Fable
be.
3, wouldn't that be 3? We had
Oh yeah,
Fable
sorry,
2,
Fable
yeah,
3. You're right.
yeah,
It was so new Fable coming out, or the new because I'm pretty sure the new what was it Starfield when that
yeah.
comes out.
Later this year.
I want it to be AAA. I mean,
I
through and
think that's
through.
gonna be AAA. I think
But
Starfield.
I want it to be something where at the same time it feels like a new IP. It feels fresh. It isn't something where it seems like they built this game off of an algorithm and then had mindless plebes
Oh
play
well,
it
they
and
said
tell them
it's
it
gonna
was
be
good.
Skyrim in space.
I
So
hope so, but that's what I'm saying. I want, even though I want a new IP. I want it treated like it's like they're making the new Fallout, and
but what
people
if
want it to.
they? How would you feel if they revive Guitar Hero?
I'm waiting for that. Guitar Hero and Rock Band. Say what you will. During that time in the late
Yeah,
2010s,
those were the
I
days.
saw that was my that was
Oh,
my
yeah,
game. I saw that game save marriages, son. I
oh boy.
saw people from two different worlds come together and now they're in love. And I saw marriages be repaired by Rock Band and Guitar Hero, mostly Rock Band. Those games were magical. I love them. They need to bring them back. But the
Yeah,
peripheral time of gaming
yeah,
was a weird time, and I don't
yeah.
know if that's gonna come back.
Yeah, we don't know if we got space in our base. I literally only threw out my Rock Band set last
You
October.
threw it out,
I
bro.
threw it out, and
I've
I
been
needed
trying to
space.
buy the Rock Band 4 for under
Oh,
$500 for months now.
oh man, yeah. Well, that was from Rock Band 2. I had
I
the
don't care. Yeah,
piano,
you
the
sell it on
guitar.
eBay. You better not
I
throw
know,
like, oh my
like
gosh, Dre, you
they
just
gonna
broke
be
my
like Dre
heart.
got too much money. Dre got too much money.
Yeah, no, this has
Yeah.
nothing to do with money. When
Oh
you
man,
threw that out, that it
like,
should have been like Andy, throwing
it,
out
it's
from
crazy.
Woody
Yeah,
and Buzz. It
yeah.
just somehow find his
It
way
just
back to
we
your crib.
needed space, and I'm just like I don't have time to go and look for a buyer for this. I was
You
like,
should have. Okay,
It's
so
crazy.
anybody out there in was it in New York internet land, you want to get rid of your rock band, Gamerish, come to
Yeah,
Gamerish
from the
and give
Gamers
it
Network.
and sell it to me.
Hit up
Rock
Skinner
band, I've
Studio.
seen it change lives. I love, like I still listen to every song that was on there. I mean,
Yeah,
I
of
listened to it
course.
before then, but like that, those games were beautiful.
Do
Like,
you
oh my
think if
god,
they were to bring out Spyro and Crash, that they would do anything special to those games?
no. I mean, because they're for kids.
How about this? What do you think about the idea? Because PlayStation has Final Fantasy 14, Xbox doesn't have its exclusive MMO. What if World of Warcraft was brought to Xbox? What do you think
Oh
about
my
that?
god.
What if they brought World of Warcraft to Xbox? I think
I don't know. They would have to water it down too much. They would have to
well,
water it down.
that's what they thought was going to happen when they brought Final Fantasy to PlayStation, but it actually ended up being pretty dope, you know. And we've
This
been
Final
seeing some good
Fantasy.
MMOs,
Wait,
man.
are you talking about the first Final Fantasy
No,
when
Final
they or
Fantasy
the
14.
remaster?
No, the 14. Final Fantasy, not the MMO, not the first MMO. The second one. 11 was the first MMO, and then we got 14, A Realm Reborn, and that one is like a masterpiece. They thought it wasn't going to work on console, but it did. But we could get World of Warcraft and somebody to simplify the controls and make it with
Okay, okay. With what you just said, and even though I'm not comparing these two games,
a.
but if what you just said was feasible, Diablo 2 would be out.
Oh well, we got Diablo 2.
No,
We
no, I'm sorry. The
yeah,
newest
yeah.
Diablo.
Well, Diablo 4 is the newest
Sorry,
one coming.
Diablo 4. I'm bugging. All right,
Yeah.
the newest Diablo that got pushed back like 2 years, and
Well,
they not even.
now they got Microsoft budget. Like so
I'm just
they
saying.
yeah, so
So if they can do Diablo,
they're gonna do it. Just remember, but let's
they,
see if they're gonna make Diablo exclusive to Xbox though. That's the thing. Is it
but
gonna be
wow,
exclusive?
but them taking. I mean, especially after all of that stuff, all of that in executive crap. If they can take WoW and like they really wouldn't have to change too much, but if they could port WoW to Xbox and only Xbox, I don't know, man. I
I'll
might
be
buy Xbox and get into it then.
yeah, I'll definitely be on that.
I was thinking about starting up Monster Hunter. That's one of those games where I'm
Oh,
just like I just don't
that was a 500-hour game.
I don't know if I got time. See,
Yeah,
that's one of those games where you look at it, you be like $500.
yeah, because you got to do so much hunting and
You
shit
got to
on
do so
monsters.
much. You got to grind. It's a
Yeah, you
grind.
got to grind. Yep,
Now
most
that is
definitely.
where you see that's what I'm saying. Like when you got not to bring that back up, but when you say 500 hours Mario, I'm like, ah.
I wouldn't be able to sit down on Mario for
But
500 hours.
but when you say 500 hours, wow, or what is it, Oblivion? Like
Mhm.
okay, yeah, but 500 easy. Well,
Yeah.
Monster Hunter, yeah,
So let me
500,
ask you
yeah,
this:
yeah.
do you know exact? So Microsoft almost paid $70 billion with this acquisition. Do you know how much Nintendo is worth altogether?
No.
It's only 72 billion they're worth
Ha.
altogether. So if
I mean,
Microsoft
where do you hold $70 billion? Where do you hold that?
yo,
Who has
exactly.
control? Who has control of that? The world, then they go, oh yeah, the deal is almost done. Like, what do you
Hey,
mean? What do
hey,
you like?
they
They
didn't
to
get it
shake
all
out their
in one big
pants?
suitcase. It's getting paid out yearly, I'm pretty sure, in a certain amount yearly. And it's
Oh my
probably
god!
gonna help with all those legal fees that they're gonna have. So that's probably why, because remember, they bought Bethesda, one of the greatest out there, for
Yeah.
seven
Well,
billion.
I say that was the game changer.
Mhm.
Bethesda, because
For
it's like so much.
7 billion.
It is so much under Bethesda's, like what I'm saying, belt
Mhm.
that is just like, man, I was really more surprised with Bethesda than Activision. It's like,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't care. Man, who cares about Activision? But I was like, Bethesda, whew.
Yeah, man.
That
I
was
was
that was
happy to
that
see people
that they really had to release the purse strings on that one.
I'm pretty sure when Elder Scrolls 6 comes out, we're gonna have a lengthy pod about that game. Like Elder
I mean
Scrolls
that
6.
and that's the thing. Like I hope that is cross. Really, I'm hoping we just really with all of this we get cross platform. So no matter how like pretty much every game's like Fortnite. It doesn't matter
Yeah, what
because I mean
system you
also you
play
got that
on.
on Battlefield and I think COD. COD.
Yeah.
It's all shooters. But like games where it doesn't matter what you're playing on, we can play with you. It's just I hate playing shooters with people playing on PC because yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, no. That I'm waiting for them to take that feature off of Halo. I'm tired of playing with PC players on Halo. Like I need them.
Because your mouse doesn't vibrate. My
You know,
gun has to vibrate.
yeah,
Well, my
exactly.
my controller has to vibrate. Your mouse
Yep.
does not vibrate. It's not
Yeah,
fair.
when I try playing on the PC, I'm still using the Xbox controller, so it's just like it don't even matter as long as I'm playing somebody with a mouse and keyboard and they're good at it. They're good at it. You know, props to them. But back to the Microsoft thing, people. I don't think you guys, you PlayStation ponies, need to be too hard on yourselves about this. Stop hating just because you couldn't afford an Xbox or you can't afford fucking $15
Wow.
a month. No, no,
I
I'm
use
gonna
my
say
money
it.
on drugs.
I'm gonna say it. I'm just
I
gonna
can
say some
afford it,
people
but
just.
the
I know you
drugs are
can.
better.
I know you can. But there's people out there that if they could afford an Xbox or the $15 a month, they'll be on it already. And a lot of these people that complain about the games and the Xbox, this. I get God. Here I go. So this is one thing I hate what people do in the gaming world. I would talk to a friend, let's say it's not me and you. You know, I will go and I'll have someone, maybe somebody that I used to work with in PlayStation. I won't say any names. And they'll talk about, oh, PlayStation got this, PlayStation got that. We're gonna get Uncharted this year. We're gonna get God of War this year. We're gonna fucking get all these games that you can't get on your fucking Xbox this year, even though I still own a PlayStation. So it made no sense telling someone like me that, giving me those points. But let's just say they come at me with that shit. My thing is now, okay, dog, but how many of those games are you gonna be able to play this year? You know, because I can guarantee that I'm going to be playing all of them. How many are you actually? You could tell me that you have all these games that are coming to your system, but can you afford all these games? I don't know. The average gamer ain't playing all them damn games at the same time. Most of the people wait for Black Friday. A lot of people wait for these games to go in the garbage bin. They like to fucking
I
like to
wait till they go. They're
you know,
the free game of the month.
you
So
know, yeah. Some people wait for that. So it's just like, don't brag. Like, I feel like you don't become part of this conversation if you're not going to play the games when they come out anyway, because now you're not even part of the conversation. You're just bitching for no reason. So if you don't want to get Game Pass, just say you don't want to get Game Pass. If you can only afford to play stuff on PlayStation, just say I'm sad that one day I might not be able to play this game on my PlayStation, and I'm just going to be angry at on the internet because this might not be accessible to me anymore. Just
a
say that.
lot of venom, man.
You
This is
know,
a lot of venom.
like I said, all the
This is
opinions
a
on
lot
this
of
show
venom you
is
spewing,
stuff
man.
that might sting, you know, and some people are going to be hard on it. They're going to be like, nah, you don't know what the fuck you talk about. You think you some rich bitch. No, I don't consider myself a
Wow,
rich bitch.
rich bitch.
I just consider myself someone who knows what I want and I go for it. I don't fucking find excuses. Like if I want something, I could be on my like I tell people when new consoles come out, I go into debt. I don't give a fuck. I go into debt and I find a way to repay it. You know, like I'll go ahead and put my damn bank account into damn negatives to get two new consoles on the same damn day if I got to. But I always make sure that there's a way for me to make my money back. You know, you don't do this
Okay,
little
where that may be, and you do have both of these consoles, the issue does come when you have a me or four or five other friends who want to play the same game. We
Mhm.
all have different consoles. Cross
Yeah.
console would take care of that. Where I do like Xbox Game Pass, it's really just the interface. The
Yeah.
issue with me
You're an
would
app
be,
download away from playing with each other.
but that's the thing. Even though you say that, the real issue, especially down the road now, is the fact that, which I've said this on past shows, the fact that I'm so financially bind it to Sony. I've bought so much, content on their platform. Unless they get bought by Microsoft, it really doesn't make sense to switch back. Now, saying that, I bought a lot of stuff on the 360, and then like I lost because I lost my name and everything, and I don't remember how to. Even though I can, I don't remember how to retrieve that. But I'm like, that's really what made me
Microsoft.com.
not want to go back. Was that I'm like, man, I spent all this money on all of this content on Sony, and I basically have to turn my back on it and start over new or build something over here with Xbox. And so that's why I really want the cross platform, because it's just like outside of that, there's outside of us being either Xbox or PlayStation, you really do have to figure out where are you buying this content, where are you using this content, and who else will have access to it. I would buy the Xbox Game Pass if I didn't have to drive. Like if I still lived in New York and I could get on the train, and on the train had like, from my commute, I had, good Wi-Fi connection, that would make sense. But since I have to drive, I live out here in, outside of a city, and I got to drive 15 minutes to the grocery store, there's really no time for me to sit down unless I'm at home and take advantage of something that is on the go.
Yeah,
When if I was at home, I just play my Xbox.
I
And so
feel
it's
you.
just one of those things where, I mean, you just got to find your use, but having the money to really buy this content on multiple platforms is just, I don't know, it's tiring. And that's one of the reasons why I'm like, if Xbox does buy everything, that'll be great, because if I could just buy all my content
Somebody
on
just
Xbox.
cringed. Somebody's balls just went up.
I'm just saying, if I could buy all my content on this and have it concurrently and own this content, that's worth it to me. That's why I still
So
buy CDs
last
and
thing.
albums.
So people have been trying to come up with like, oh, Sony should buy this, and Sony should buy that. Some people are talking about Sony should buy out EA, or Sony should try and buy out Ubisoft to try and compete. Even though I don't think those games could really compete. Because right now, as far as I'm concerned, everyone's been bitching about Ubisoft games. So why would they go and buy out Ubisoft? Because everyone's saying they're all the same, just with a different coat of paint on them. And then EA.
They need new IPs. They need new IPs, but IPs that are just that get just as much oomph as AAA titles. The where like I mean, I remember back in PlayStation 2, like I would put in that jam packed demo disc, and I would play video games that were new or experimental, but because it was a video game, I was willing to try it.
Yeah.
Now, unless it's like I don't like now, it has to be a game that's gonna sell 70 million copies for them to want to make something new. Cooking Mama wasn't a game that I felt like I would go out and buy. But then when I gave Cooking Mama a chance, I was like, yo, getting pretty good chopping these onions
Oh man.
and getting my food out without it being burned. I
Yeah.
don't know. You know what
No,
I'm
no,
saying?
no,
And it's
man. I
just
remember Cooking Mama. Now my daughter plays Cooking Mama. Like I got one on the damn PlayStation, the Cooking Mama game that came out. We play multiplayer on that and shit. So that's good. But I don't think
would you
so.
have bought that game? If
Yeah,
if I came up to you on the street and was like, "Hey, I got this Japanese game where you cook for people,"
yeah.
would
I
you?
love it. I had that shit on DS. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm saying I played it on DS too, but I'm just saying the game concept wasn't a game concept that
Oh,
I feel like you could really
yeah.
like
Not a lot
sell
of
me
people would.
on.
Yeah, not a lot of people would go ahead and do that.
But then when I played it and I was like, "Wow, Cooking Mama." Now I'm like, "Oh, okay." Yeah, like, and that's what because I was just I really want to say, yeah, I want a new IP, but I want it to be a AAA. But that's what I meant. It's just something new, but something that like that makes me want to try. try a different type of game than me shooting something,
Yeah, taking
killing
over a base,
something,
that
taking
stuff.
over a base, building up a character to so he has enough power to kill this thing.
That's the
I don't know.
Ubisoft way. That's the Ubisoft way. You
It's
know.
just that's the thing. Like where we are in games, we should be able to just like do more. Is all I'm asking. And like it doesn't have to be something where I do have to be tailored to as an Xbox or a Sony user, but just as a gamer who wants something new.
Yeah. And I just want, before we go, I just want to let people know, in Sony corporate America's total assets is equal up to 260 billion. And Microsoft net worth is 2.5 trillion. Sony
Oh
will
my
never
gosh!
be able to freaking outbuy Microsoft. You guys need to realize that. And let me tell people a secret that's not a secret because I keep talking about this podcast after podcast. I keep telling y'all, Sony does not put their money in one big pool and say whoever needs take. Sony
You do say this pretty
I tell
often.
people, yes, I say this all the time.
It's damning
PlayStation
of
gets
them,
their
but damn.
budget. Sony Music gets their own budget. Sony Movies get their own budget, and we all hate each other. We have meetings where we're all arguing about who gets which amount of money every damn year. Like when we were there, I tell people I've been to these boardroom meetings. Like it's a big argument about who gets how much money every year. Like and it's got to the point where when we were selling video games, we wouldn't give anybody upstairs in corporate any discounts. We wouldn't even give them our employee discounts on TVs and stuff like that. We're like, nah, you Sony Music, you Sony Movies, y'all could keep to yourselves and get out of our area. Like so Sony is
Right?
a mess on the inside. It's a mess on the inside as opposed to Microsoft. All you gotta do is call up Balmer or Bill and be like, "Hey, we need 10 bill right now to do something." They're gonna be like, "Is it gonna outdo PlayStation?" You just say yes, and they're gonna say, "Take the money." They're gonna say, "Take the fucking money. Do what you gotta do." But that's the last I have to say about that. Just that quick fact for those who are hearing me out for the first time. I don't like to sound like an asshole all the time. Maybe 40% of the time I like to be an ass, but this
Eh,
time I'm just giving the facts. I'm just giving the facts, and I try to be as real as I could be on this podcast. All my podcasts, but this one the most. Because I don't care if I hurt anybody's feelings on this pod.
that and plus we like the candid side. You got to be
Yeah,
able to let the fire go.
exactly. You gotta be able to. But we appreciate, man. Tim, appreciate you, man, for finding time out of your day for us to have this discussion. Tim actually hit me up wanting to do this pod today. So I appreciate you hitting me up, man, and joining me on this shit. Especially carving out time of your in your damn day to do it. You know, um,
Anytime. Thank you for having me.
and appreciate everyone listening right now. Please tell your friends about us. This is the Gamerish Network podcast called Just Listen. We have other podcasts. We have a drink and a game where we just focus on just games. The Gamerish podcast, in which the Gamerish Network podcast, where me and the Gamerish Network, me, Felice, and Mad King talk about the latest gaming news going on out there. So look out for those pods. If you want to watch us live, join our Twitter. Twitter, we barely on that. So I'll say our Facebook page or our Facebook group. We have a page and a group. Join our YouTube, like and subscribe, hit that bell, or follow us on iTunes and Spotify on our Gamerish network. Don't put in just Gamerish because it have our old logo on there. Make sure you put in Gamerish Network where you'll see the microphone logo. That's our new one. But if you want to go into older content, which I had my old team where you'll probably hear Tim in some of those pods and Mike and Big E and
I have no
Donatello,
life.
like you'll you'll find us in those older podcasts if you want to go into what the old gamers used to be, where it just used to be a drink and a game and some other stuff and comic book stuff back then. But thank you guys for those who stayed through and didn't get angry and made it to the end of this pod. As usual, I always tell you guys, enjoy your drinks, enjoy your games. Peace out.
Wait, if you did get mad, send death threats. I'm bored.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you
Peace.
for joining us, people.